Good morning and welcome into Weekend Recharge. I'm LaRosa.
And I'm Paul Grillo. Well, some of you may be watching us this morning from bed, or perhaps maybe recovering from the flu. Well, it is widespread in every state except Hawaii. Last week.
Right, so we've got that, and we want to get you ready for the rest of the weekend, get you recharged for Saturday and Sunday, and look ahead to what's ahead for you in the coming week. But right now, this is the map. It's a lot of green, right? We have heavy rainfall, flood concerns today all the way from the south, and of course keeping tabs on the ice jams and the flooding across parts of the northeast. Meanwhile, the next big storm producing a mess across the west from Seattle to Boise, everywhere in between. We'll talk about the parade of storms there, but yes, can't ignore just how warm it is ahead of our next big system. And in the northeast, that may mean a bit of a thaw. Continue else because some of that rain is coming up from the ground, right? Because it's coming so heavily. So we take a look at where we have some of the flood watches. Makes sense once I show you where the radar and what the radar looks like. But the I-10 corridor between Houston into Baton Rouge and New Orleans along that entire way into southern Mississippi as well could see easily another 1 to 3 inches of rainfall in some of these areas. But look at this radar. You were trying to get some extra snooze buttons going here in Houston and Beaumont. All that lightning and thunder keeping you awake already, still in Lake Charles and just to the west of New Orleans. If you were heading westbound out of town, you're running into some very, very heavy rainfall. How heavy? Take a look at this. Port Arthur coming in with over 6 inches of rainfall since midnight. So you do the calculations and those rainfall rates are fierce, and that is going to continue. So rainfall still to come. Yeah, this is not tenths of an inch. These are actual inches of rain still to come here over the next day or two. And you can see that that is certainly enough to keep the ponding on the roadways, maybe some of those streams and creeks running over their banks. The only thing here is that some areas could actually use the rain. Not so much where the heaviest is right now, ironically. We're talking Houston and southern Louisiana. But you can see over the next couple of hours, we take you past the lunch hour, some of those lighter showers coming into Atlanta and Birmingham, but the heaviest rain continuing south of that I-20 corridor. So it's Destin, Pensacola, eventually Dothan into Tallahassee, and then as you get towards tomorrow morning and afternoon, moving into the mid-Atlantic, the Outer Banks by tomorrow night. It will add up, as we've seen already, at least 3 to 5 inches of rainfall in those areas in yellow. But you can see by Sunday afternoon and evening, perhaps as much as 1 to 2 inches across a pretty good area. That includes New Orleans. Eventually, Paul, we're going to see the showers ease up by tomorrow morning. So the second half of the weekend there looking a little better.
Good news is it's a drought, so they could use the rain.
Yes.
But the rain doesn't confine us. I think it's a great thing.
It could be phenomenal if you think about.
Go ahead, say what you're saying.
I would like to see environmental impact studies because you're heating up a huge area of
2 miles long.
Well, and then multiple airports. I'd be curious to see if it's like another heat island, but you know.
But it's only during snow events.
Fair enough. And you brought up a good point of the fossil fuels used for the trucks to plow. Interesting, though. Interesting.
And also the wasted time and energy. Right. You waiting for your flight to take off and delays. I mean, because you know you're impatient.
So I hate it.
Because people pay when she waits. So you know, I always thought that whole underwash thing was kind of rip off, but listening to that, you might need it.
All right, let's give you an idea. Houston, definitely put the brakes on the car wash for today. Let that rain move out. Hold off until Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon, plenty of sunshine, great car washing weather. Atlanta, well, wash it right now, then put it in the garage because rain showers come in tonight and stick around for your Sunday.
I saw the car washes around the Atlanta metro area last weekend. Traffic lined up, so last week was definitely a good one. New York today, tomorrow, not as much.
South, we have this rain also pushing into the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Northeast.
Which is a bit of a change up, right? We're talking about rain. It's that warm across the north, and if you think about what's happening in along some of the waterways, right? The ice jam. So we've got the thaw part of the story, and now we're adding in some rain. So this is definitely one to watch. Right now, obviously very quiet. Had a nice, pretty sunrise from New York to D.C., Albany, and Boston. We are good to go, but again, we still have those flood warnings out for the blocked up ice, and that is creating some of those flooding concerns. The Susquehanna, we have the Delaware. We've been watching, of course, the Housatonic River in Connecticut. We are on the thaw side of this story for now because temperatures are going to be well above freezing all the way up to the Canadian border through this afternoon. So any precipitation coming our way here, even through overnight tonight, will be rain straight up and through Maine, down through into the mid-Atlantic. Rain showers continuing from the Jersey Shore down to Washington, Norfolk, and Richmond, straight on through tomorrow evening. So again, the I-95 corridor, some of those interstates that will be on the wet side. So you look at the rainfall total. Not a ton, but where we are seeing some of those flood concerns can be just enough to make things a little extra difficult. But really, generally, about an inch or so. You can see the mid-Atlantic, probably more like 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So timing it out, Pittsburgh into tonight. Be prepared after the lunch hour to see some of the rain showers lasting through tonight, cloudy and cold, as temperatures drop into the 30s by tomorrow. Sides, two sides, right? It's tough to get there, but once you're there, you're winning. Take a look at some of the snowfall forecast here of the snow still to come. Anywhere from a foot to almost 2 feet of snow in that pink area. And of course, the highest elevations, but you get the idea that we are continuing to add to the snowpack here in parts of the Cascades, the Pacific Northwest. But really, that's where it's confined. You'll see a series of storms, but basically confined to this area. Here's a look at through Tuesday. Again, you have the Cascades missing out the Sierra Nevada mountains, but you've got the Bitterroots to the Rockies, all going to add to the snowfall here over the next couple days. Right now, generally light rain showers, some snow showers as well, but the idea is that there's more to come. It's an onslaught. You can get an idea of it with the water vapor imagery. Uninterrupted fuel coming into the west coast here, all of that moisture being helped along, and every time you get a disturbance to roll on shore, you get that enhancement of the precipitation, whether it's the rain in the valleys, for instance, or that mountain snow. As we get into the early part of the week, we get another wave to come on shore. That system strengthens, so along with the precipitation, you get the winds. They're coming right out of the south here, and that is once again bringing plenty of moisture on shore. So that means plentiful precipitation, and for some of us, days of rainfall. That includes Portland and Seattle, but you get to the Olympics and the Cascades, and you're adding up the snowfall. Just watch the variations of the snow levels if you're doing some traveling through the passes. Seattle, there you go, rainy through Monday. We get some spots of sunshine here on Tuesday with a little bit of a break. Notice the cooler temperatures with highs going from the 50s into the 40s. Portland, you've got rain straight on through Tuesday. Could be heavier at times, but by Tuesday on the lighter side.
I think a lot of New Yorkers would be happy if they only see snow in the park and not on the roads, right? Not going to happen.
But it's fun. It's fun to see. But, you know, they were talking about extremes. A bit of a roller coaster for New York over the next couple days, which is what we've been talking about leading into February.
A lot of cabin fever. So enjoy this weekend. 52 today, 50 tomorrow, and then winter comes back.
You can see there are some peaks above freezing, but you get the idea. Let's see, Groundhog Day, right? And then what is that, Super Bowl Sunday?
But in between that, we got 27 for a high on the 3rd.
Debbie Downer over there.
Is that next Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So average high 39. So overall, once we get past this weekend, we're going to trend back a little bit.
12 minutes before the top of the hour, and we love to get ahead of ourselves just a little bit because we're not quite done with January, Dr. Postel, but we're already interested in February because February can be feisty.
I like that,
right?
The depths of
Feisty
February.
Feb.
Right, and colder air is coming into the United States right around the turn of the month in a more substantial way than we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Really cold stuff, probably some below zeros coming in again. This time, a little bit different than what we saw in early January. It doesn't look like it's going to make it all the way to the Gulf Coast in a sustained way like we saw earlier. This was more of a northern half thing.
Well, there are some mechanisms that aren't just completely opening the door here to Canada and the Arctic. There are a couple things hanging up that colder air intrusion.
Right. That's exactly right. And the jet stream is one to look at to find out exactly where the cold air is going to be delivered. It's going to have that mechanism to do that. We're going to have late this upcoming week. So this is right around the 1st of the month. Huge ridge over western North America and Alaska. That's going to be bringing the cold air southward. But it's going to kind of be flattened out, sort of an east-west elongated in that direction, with the jet stream coming in like that, kind of protecting the southeast a little bit.
Yeah, if you remember, I'm sure all of us do, what that looked like in early January.
Right.
I mean, it was diving to the south.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different. It looks more like this. This is one of those jet stream scenarios that we talked about, let's say about a few days ago, maybe earlier in the week, that this was becoming more likely scenario rather than the one you just mentioned where it was coming all the way this way. This one's just kind of stretched out a little bit, but still colder and potentially snowier times are on the way. But let's look at some of the numbers.
All right, if you've been following along, because we've been talking about early February now for a little bit.
Yep.
This seems to have warmed. I mean, it's still cold,
yes,
but we're not talking zeros.
Right, not yet anyway. Correct. This was next Saturday. We're looking around the forecast corner just to give you an idea of what some of those numbers behind those patterns look like. We're talking lots of teens and 20s in the north and not so bad, roughly average in the south. Next Sunday looks to be a little bit colder, and there may be some more cold air beyond that, too.
I think we are going to start seeing some of those hashtags like, thanks, Florida, 80s for you. So it is definitely stopping across the south, at least that Arctic intrusion.
Yeah, it sure does, Maria. And the thing is that when you have but it sets up something a little bit different. Because when you have that cold air coming in, and you have the warm air trying to hold it off, in between there's a battle zone. And you know what? Sometimes right in those areas you can find more precipitation than average because of an enhanced risk for storms.
And you have that battle zone where you tend to see that weather produced.
You do. And if there is enough cold air, which I do believe there will be plenty of to tap, then you can make some of that above average chances or above average precipitation be in the form of snow.
So this is not color coded between rain and snow. This is looking at the precipitation probability.
Yes.
We superimpose the cold, and there you go.
There you go.
Some snow.
It's getting interesting.
All right.